Well, you know, Hitler was on all kinds of drugs.
Yes.
Yeah. There was, God, I keep forgetting who told us that story, Jamie, but there was a story about Hitler convincing Mussolini. Do you remember?
I've tried to look it up and find it. I can't find it.
It might not have even happened on a podcast.
Yeah,
That's the problem. Is I have so many conversations and my memory is just so full. It's just there's no room. I got like folders stuffed all over the place. I don't know where anything is. But the story was that Hitler was in the middle of campaigning and he was completely exhausted and he was supposed to meet Mussolini and he was going to not meet Mussolini because he was so exhausted. But then they shot him up with testosterone and liquid cocaine. Mm-hmm. And when they did that, he was just bouncing off the walls and he cornered Mussolini and talked to him for 5 hours and convinced him not to leave the effort, not to leave the war effort. And he sort of... One of the things that this story was basically pointing to was that much of Hitler's mania and much of this rabid attack that he had put on the rest of the Western world was fueled by amphetamines and cocaine and testosterone, and that they just kept injecting him with all this shit that gave him this insane confidence and insane maniacal aggression. And it completely makes sense if you think about what he did. And then we also know that kamikazes were on amphetamines and many of the Nazi soldiers were on amphetamines.
Well, the Blitzkrieg, how they would do that, they were days and days on amphetamines. And then that promotes aggression as well.
And just psychotic delusions.
Yeah.
And he had this delusion of creating this master race, which is, and that's the most cocaine idea of all time, right? Like this idea, like we're going to engineer the greatest human race ever, and you know, and to be able to look at that idea from this cocaine fueled or amphetamine fueled perspective to the point where you're willing to commit genocide in order to accomplish your goal.
Yeah, drugs were a big factor in the Third Reich.
Yeah,
very much so. Also, we know that John Kennedy was given amphetamines.
That's Dr. Feelgood, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Feelgood was a legitimate doctor that would run around and give people amphetamines.
I found it.
What'd you find there, buddy? The story? Oh, where is this from?
Historyhit.com. Did Hitler's drug problem change the course of history? He got a shot of this stuff called Eucadol.
Okay. Hitler took Eucadol for the first time before the dreaded meeting. His mood changed immediately. Everyone was very happy that the Fuhrer was back in the game. His enthusiasm was such that on the way to the airport to fly to his meeting with Mussolini, he demanded a second shot. The first shot had been administered subcutaneously, but the second was intravenous. It was even better. During the meeting with Mussolini, Hitler was so energized that he pretty much just shouted for 3 hours. There's several reports from that meeting, including an American intelligence report. To the embarrassment of everyone in attendance, Hitler didn't stop talking throughout the entire duration of the meeting. Mussolini couldn't get a word in edgeways, meaning he wasn't able to voice his concerns about the war effort and perhaps raise the prospect of Italy leaving. So Italy stayed. At the end of the day, Hitler told Morel, "The success of today is totally yours." Wow. So Morel must have been the doctor. Yes. Eucadol. Find out what that shit is. Okay. Eucadol is similar to heroin. In fact, it's stronger than heroin. It also has an effect that heroin doesn't have. It makes you euphoric. But I think they shot him up with some other stuff too. The word was that it was. I'd read cocaine and oxycodone.
I just hit Google and that's what comes up.
Oh,
wow,
interesting. But I had heard.
And cocaine. It says there 5 milligrams of cocaine too.
Where does it say that?
Under DIX Wikipedia there. Yeah.
Oh, is that what's in there?
Meth and coke mixed together.
Oh, so that's what Eucadil is. Okay, that makes sense. So Eucadil is 5 milligrams of cocaine and 3 milligrams of methamphetamine. Wow. So DIX, it's a methamphetamine-based experimental performance enhancer developed by Nazi Germany.